Web3 TV.
Everyone is talking about the war between Iran and Israel.
Walmart and Amazon are looking to set up their own stablecoins.
AMD is looking to outcompete Nvidia with the launch of their new AI chip.
So what does this all mean for you? We're here to break it down. I'm Lisa Amnegard.
And I'm Adel, and you're watching Crypto TV.
So just a recap over what happened over the weekend. So last Friday morning, Israel launched a series of preemptive strikes on Iran, killing Iran's top generals. What began as a targeted operation on Iran's nuclear program has quickly escalated into an open conflict over the weekend, with both sides launching hundreds of airstrikes in one of the most serious escalations between the two nations in years.
So what's the impact, Lisa? Obviously, this has rattled markets. We've seen Bitcoin plunging. We've seen stocks also plunging, and investors investing into safe havens like gold. Oil soaring because it's directly connected to the war. For cryptocurrency, have you seen any shift in demand?
Well, Bitcoin fell 4% just on the back of the news that Israel had launched these airstrikes. So it's kind of just a typical trading day for Bitcoin.
True, and it bounced back. It's like Bitcoin is now resilient to this to war and in general.
Yeah, it's showing to be more resilient to these fears around wars than, let's say, Trump's trade tariffs, where Bitcoin saw a 12% drop. And I think it has to do, if we also look at the previous incident when Israel launched missiles on Iran, Bitcoin barely budged. So I think right now people should be more concerned over the Federal Open Market Committee that's happening this week.
True.
And see how these new interest rates could, or the discussions of interest rates could affect the crypto market.
I also want to add, with Bitcoin back at the $107,000 valuation, it also could signal that Bitcoin itself is a safe haven as well. People are putting their money in Bitcoin because it's safe. It's considered safe. Before it wasn't. It was very volatile. It still is, but this goes to show that Bitcoin is here to stay. And with, like you said, the Federal Open Market Committee happening this Wednesday, that time will tell on what happens next.
I'm not so sure if Bitcoin is a safe haven yet, maybe in terms of cryptocurrency. However, we did see Trump's reciprocal tariffs and Bitcoin did plunge quite significantly, and it took some time for it to bounce back. So I think it depends on what the world events are and whether it's more of a macroeconomic trend or if it's a fear over, let's say, a war or a conflict of sorts.
I agree, yes. No, well, time will tell. We'll see what happens this Wednesday after that meeting. Let's dive into our next story with Walmart and Amazon looking to set up their own stablecoin. What do you make of this story?
I think it's really interesting because it really shows how retail is evolving. It can really change the game for many retail giants such as Amazon and Walmart. Currently, these retail giants have been at the hands of these major banks like Visa and MasterCard, who've been taking billions of dollars away from their profits. I think in 2024, they paid around $187 billion in processing fees, which stablecoin eliminates completely. And it doesn't only eliminate the cost for the retailers, it also reduces the settlement payment times as well. So all of a sudden, they can get paid in seconds rather than days, which has been the case until now.
If we turn our attention and remind ourselves why people got into crypto in the first place, the Bitcoin white paper was to cut out the middleman, making it peer-to-peer. So when we're cutting out Visa and MasterCard, you're rivaling against some big behemoths. And so you're lowering merchant fees, true. You're speeding up payment settlement times. You're potentially challenging the dominance of traditional financial institutions. The question is, how will these banks respond?
I don't think they're going to like it because I know it's a lot of money. But it could also offer opportunities for banks to also issue stable coins. And still, Amazon and Walmart, they're still in early stages. And the stablecoin legislation, the Genius Act, still hasn't passed Congress.
That's true.
So, they can't really do anything until that bill has passed Congress. And we don't know. Maybe they'll issue their own stablecoins or they will use USDT or some other existing stablecoin out there?
I reckon because the stablecoin market is such a big cash cow right now, it's my theory that they are going to launch their own stablecoin. Only time will tell.
I think right now the biggest challenge would be, are shoppers ready for this?
True.
Because currently, they don't care if it takes Amazon 4 days to get their payment or not. They just want to buy their goods.
I guess so, yeah. For me, I think as a shopper, and I would want to be, as long as I get my goods on time, and as a retailer, I'm the one who's buying the goods. From a business perspective, I want my goods to be sent to the customer, and I want my customers to be super happy. So settlement times has to be super fast, and as long as my customers are happy, they should repeat. The only thing is, how will your grandma or grandpa know how to use a stablecoin? And it comes down to education.
Yeah, I definitely think it has to come down to education, because essentially what it would mean is that, let's say a customer would have to have kind of like a card of sorts where they put their stablecoins onto the card, kind of like one of those Starbucks loyalty cards that you might have seen.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of fact of just educating consumers how to use stablecoins and just maybe give them incentives in order to kind of spearhead that adoption.
I reckon it's just a question of education, but it's going to take the world by storm. Stablecoins is the next big thing to be watching.
Yeah, it's a very much US-driven story now, but I definitely think that we're going to see more of retailers and companies launching their own stablecoins going forward.
Time will tell, but let's dive into our next story with AMD launching their new AI chip, the Instinct MI400 series. You heard about this story. What's your take on it?
Well, this is kind of AMD's way to challenge Nvidia in some way. So they also announced, alongside this announcement, the company also introduced Helios, which is a high-density server rack that stacks hundreds of AMD chips to function kind of like a brain. And this is kind of something that many AI developers have been waiting for, because they can use it to train these large language models and kind of just spearhead this next new wave of artificial intelligence. Plus, it's all done on an open source model. And Nvidia, on the other hand, has kind of had a closed ecosystem. So there's a lot of things going on here because they have all this going on, but then they're also saying that they're going to be competitive on price. And many have been kind of excited about this. OpenAI, Sam Altman, said that he wants to use AMD chips. And 7 other big AI companies have also gone out and said that they want to use AMD chips. So
it's quite interesting because it's still early on. They haven't launched their AI chip yet. They said they're going to launch it next year. But Sam Altman saying that he's endorsing, that's a statement right there. That's a statement. And I also think at the same time, AMD has a lot to gain because AMD has already seen the incumbent play out their innovations. So AMD is able to see from a bird's eye view what's lacking in the market. Remind ourselves as well that Nvidia still is the largest chip maker in the world. They currently stand at 3.46 in trillion, yes. Whereas AMD is only 188 billion. Yeah. But forget valuations for a second. It's all about what investors see value. Yeah. And if AMD is able to challenge Nvidia with their new AI chips, this could be a game changer.
Yeah, I don't know if investors are that sold yet. Their stocks, AMD stock haven't gone up that much, but only time will tell. I mean, they're launching their new chip next year, so we will see. And yeah, like you said, they have a lot to gain if they're able to, let's say, take some of the market share of Nvidia.
Let's see how it plays out. Well, that's all we have for you today on Crypto TV. I'm Adel.
And I'm Lisa Amnegard, and you're watching Crypto TV.
See you next time.
Web3 TV